Dear friends, our huge thanks to the Government of Korea and Maria Baron, Civil Society co chair, for hosting our summit. We meet at a critical moment in history when democracy itself is in peril in many parts of the world and societies are grappling with multiple crises. At the same time, at this 10th anniversary mark, OGP has grown into a global platform where courageous reformers, many of you joining the summit, are advancing reforms that help tackle these crises. This summit, therefore, is not principally a platform to pause and celebrate, but fundamentally a springboard, a call to action to scale up the innovative reforms from the first decade to help us tackle the challenges heading into the next. Today, our world confronts a devastating health crisis, an accompanying economic crisis, a crisis of systemic inequality of income, race, and gender, a climate crisis ravaging communities with floods, fires, and drought, and vitally for us, a crisis of democracy. Globally, we have seen an unprecedented rise of elected authoritarian leaders. Over the past decade, more than half of the world's democracies have suffered democratic erosion. And across democracies, citizen trust in government has plummeted. In too many countries, citizens perceive their governments to be unresponsive, corrupt, or captured by special interests. When OGP was founded, democracy and openness were in ascendance. 10 years on, the forces of authoritarian and closed governments have got stronger. But over the same period, 78 countries, 76 local governments, and thousands of civil society organizations have joined OGP and co created over 4,000 reforms. Evidence from OGP's independent reporting mechanism and the decade report published today show that OGP works. When government co creates with civil society, the reforms are more ambitious and the outcomes stronger. Over the past decade, hundreds of ambitious reforms have made governments significantly more open, participatory, and accountable. And for this, civil society has fought for hard won gains, and government reformers have skillfully navigated changes. Together, they have advanced four clusters of reforms that are renewing democracy by transforming the relationship between citizens and their government. First, reformers are opening up opaque institutions to build citizen trust and fight corruption. Today, 60 OGP governments from Argentina to Ukraine are disclosing procurement contracts to end backroom corrupt deals. 30 OGP countries from Armenia to the UK are publishing registers to end anonymous companies stashing illicit wealth. Colombia is empowering citizen auditors to monitor open COVID 19 spending on a mobile app. Second, reformers are empowering citizens to shape policies that impact their lives, particularly at the local level, such as participatory budgeting in Madrid, Spain, or citizens monitoring health services in Kaduna, Nigeria. Amidst increasing polarization, citizens' assemblies are forging shared solutions on contentious policies such as same sex marriage in Ireland or climate justice in France. Third, tackling systemic inequalities by empowering historically marginalized groups, such as enhancing access to justice for the Roma minority in North Macedonia, or empowering women by addressing the gender wage gap in Jalisco, Mexico. And fourth, confronting threats to democracy. Over the last decade, citizens' basic ability to freely speak, associate, assemble has come under assault in most countries, including OGP countries. Many governments have used the pandemic to deploy disproportionate emergency powers. Elected governments are attacking civil society, media, oversight institutions. Elections, the bedrock of democracy, faces unprecedented challenges. Only a few OGP governments have taken actions to enhance civic space and democratic oversight. In the Republic of Korea, when millions descended on Gwanghwamun Square to bring down a corrupt regime, the new government of President Moon invited protesters and citizens back to the same Gwanghwamun Square to propose policies that respond to their needs. We need more Gwanghwamun Squares in our world today. And even while leveraging technology to open up governments, OGP reformers are confronting digital threats, such as the insidious spread of disinformation online, illegal surveillance, attacks on our individual privacy. To curb disinformation, Canada is strengthening transparency of online political campaigns. In Mexico, following the illegal surveillance scandal targeting anti corruption activists, the new government committed to democratic oversight of its digital surveillance. So, at this 10th anniversary, let us join together in a call to action to scale up these four clusters of reforms to renew democracy at this time of threat and help tackle the confluence of societal crises. So, at a time when citizen trust in government has plummeted, let us join forces in instead building citizen centered democracies by scaling up participatory policymaking, citizens monitoring public services, citizens' access to justice, and ensuring open budgets, open contracts, open company ownership. At a time when democracy is under attack, let us join forces in instead making democracies resilient by safeguarding civil liberties, media freedoms, and oversight institutions, combating disinformation, and building cohesion amidst polarization. At a time when societies are struggling with the pandemic, let us join forces to ensure a just and effective recovery by empowering citizens to shape and monitor those massive COVID-19 stimulus and safety nets, and by making vaccines accessible to all. At a time when societies face worsening inequalities, let us join forces in instead empowering the most marginalized at the bottom and reining in the abusers of power at the top. At a time when climate change is ravaging communities, let us join forces to ensure countries meet their climate commitments and limit warming to 1.5 degrees by enhancing transparency of greenhouse gas emissions, fossil fuel subsidies, and climate finance, empowering citizens in decision making, especially those most vulnerable to climate change, and ensuring legal redress for climate harms. To advance this ambitious agenda, we need broader coalitions. You see, over the first decade, dedicated reformers were at the heart of OGP's success. In the next decade, we need more champions, civil servants and civil society, ministers and mayors, country and corporate leaders. Let us spread enthusiasm for open government across ministries, political parties, civil society. Let us expand the coalition of committed leaders advancing OGP, scaling up the Open Government Leadership Collaborative. Complementing leadership, we must galvanize bottom-up citizen pressure. Let us engage and energize citizens and civil society, harnessing both citizens' interests in better services as well as the huge upsurge in citizen protests against corruption and poor governance. At the global level, we must forge a stronger, renewed coalition for democracy with heads of states, civil society leaders, international partners, as showcased at this summit. At a time when authoritarian leaders are spreading their authoritarian playbook, we need more OGP heads of states, ministers, and mayors to push back, speak out in democracy's defense, and show through example how a renewed citizen centered democracy delivers better results. And let us position OGP as the implementation arm for the SDGs and the Summit for Democracy, translating global commitments into country actions and results. So, as we transition into the next decade, we invite you to shape our journey forward, including through your inputs on OGP's new strategy next year. We invite you to join us in transforming OGP as a mechanism in the first decade to a movement in the next, a movement to renew democracy for and with citizens. Thank you.